my lovelies, it is time for my August wrap-up vlog, so stay tuned. So it is Monday, August 9th, and I have completed 3 books. Not bad, but definitely not where I would like to be at this point, but let's just get into what I've read. So on Monday, I believe it was Monday, August 2nd, I completed The Wicked Will Rise by Danielle Page. This is the second book in the Dorothy Must Die series. This I can't tell you too much about because it is a sequel, but I will tell you that our main character, Amy Gum, who is tasked with hunting down Dorothy and assassinating her, kind of helping the Order of the Witches, has now lost the Order of the Witches, and also now has Ozma in tow and dealing with the whole Ozma situation. And that's really all I can say about that, but I do give this 5 stars. I love this series. And then on Saturday the 7th, I completed The Sweet Spot by Heather Hayford. This is an adult romance set at a vineyard in Oregon. And our main character, what's her name? Jamie Martell. She is a music teacher at a school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it is now the summer break, and she's also just been given this huge promotion where she won't be actually teaching the students anymore. She's moving up and she's going to be a department head, and she'll be the youngest this school has ever had. And it's a big privilege. But before she goes and starts her new promotion, she is taking this 2-week vacation to this vineyard. She is a big fan of the wine, and she loves the countryside and all that. So she's really looking forward to this trip. She gets out there and she already loves the wine, but she falls in love with the land, the people, and maybe the owner as well. It is ran by a man named Hank Freistadt and his very kindly little old grandma, and they've been running this place for generations, and it's super cute. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this a 3.75. And then today I finished Dorothy Must Die Stories Volume 2 by Danielle Page. This is the second collection of novellas in the Dorothy Must Die series. This one has Heart of Ten, The Straw King, and Ruler of Beasts. And this just tells each of their stories, like how they became the twisted characters that they are in the Dorothy Must Die, like the first book. And so good. 5 stars. So it is Sunday, August 15th, and I have completed 2 more books. So on Wednesday the 11th, I finished The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh, and I love this. I believe this is a retelling of 1001 Nights. This follows Scheherazade and also Khalid. Khalid is an 18-year-old boy king, and every night or every day he takes a new queen, and by dawn the next morning she's been executed. And Scheherazade, she volunteers to be a bride because she has some revenge she wants to seek, and she has every intentions of surviving the night. And so she starts with telling Khalid a story, and at the end of the night her story is not finished, and she tells him that the only way she will finish her story is if she gets one more day. And so she's given another day to live, and he comes back to her night after night wanting her stories, and things progress from there. I absolutely loved this. It was so much fun. It was so interesting, and a little bit of a bookish book too. And I don't know if you don't know or already know, I like that trope with like stories and side stories, bookish characters, bookish settings, things like that. And there are stories inside this story because Scheherazade is telling Khalid these different stories. and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And then yesterday I finished another book that I also gave 5 stars, and that was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is, I don't even know where, like what number this is in A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but this very well could be my favorite in the series so far. I really love the second one as well, and that was, I think, my favorite until now. They're kind of, I don't know if they're even or if this one beats it. I think this one might beat it. So this one follows Nesta the entire time. It's Nesta and Cassian, and Nesta's family is tired of the stuff she's been doing lately, and they essentially banish her to the place where the priestesses are, this library where the priestesses are, and this house where she is to train and she's to work, and yeah. And throughout it, we learn so much about Nesta and what happened with Nesta and why Nesta is the way she is. We also learn about several of the priestesses and what they've gone through. And there's a lot of like female power in this. But also there is so much smut in this. Oh my gosh, this is definitely the smuttiest book I think she has written. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. This book had, I mean, this book had me blushing at times. It was a lot. And I really cannot wait to continue this series. It is, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I love the character development of Nesta throughout of all of this, as well as some of the other characters in here. This was so much fun, and like I said, I can't wait to continue reading this series. So 5 amazing stars. It is currently Thursday, August 19th, and I have completed 2 more books. So both of these actually were completed on Monday, August 16th. I just now getting around to filming this. But first I completed Black Cats and Four-Leaf Clovers, The Origins of Old Wives' Tales and Superstitions in Our Everyday Lives by Harry Oliver. And this is like, you know, why breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. The best day of the week to ask for a favor. Why you should never jump over a child in Turkey. Some of these things were really interesting. Some of them are kind of boring. Some things didn't really have an origin. It was just like the belief of, you know, these different things and their best guess on an origin. Overall, I enjoyed it. I will say that there was like some printing errors with this book where let me just show you. So our table of contents ends right here. These are the last 5 chapters. This chapter starts on page 211. If you want to see the rest of the table of contents, however, it's blank. Oops. And then reading the introduction. So I was reading that, and you get to the sentence, but growing up, and here's the rest of the introduction. It's also blank. And then you get to the first, well, maybe this is part of the introduction as well, but it is also blank. But then you get to the first chapter, Arts and Entertainment. And here are the first pages. They're blank. And then you start out like at the very end of a sentence here and continues on. The rest of the pages are all there, but yeah, there's definitely some issues in the beginning. But I enjoyed it overall. I give this a 3.5. And then also on the 16th, I completed Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy. This is a superhero origin story. Faith is actually a superhero in for real comics, published by Valiant Comics. I had never heard of it, but I'm definitely interested now. But she is a plus size bisexual superhero. In this, it starts out with her kind of getting tricked into going to this place. She thought it was going to be like this really cool thing, and ends up she's trapped and locked into a cell and experimented on, and she gains the ability to fly, and then a whole thing happens and she gets out of there. She's back to her normal life. She's working in an animal shelter. She's going to school. She runs a fandom blog about this show called The Grove, which she is a super fan, and she's got like 90,000 followers on her blog. And then it just so happens that The Grove moves filming locations to her town, and she gets to meet some of her idols and all of that. And there's also things going on in the town where people have gone missing. It started with homeless people, then some elderly, then people that Faith knows, like teenagers in her school. And when they show up, if they show up, they're kind of messed up. And then there's also this like new designer drug that's infiltrating her school that's supposed to be able to like help them with schoolwork and things like that, and it's called A+, and that's causing a lot of issues as well, because it has really bad side effects. Anyway, Faith finds herself kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time a lot of times, and where she's kind of tried to hide her ability to fly and try to tamp it down, she finds it necessary from time to time. And I really enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars. I have ordered the sequel, which this is a duology. The sequel is called Faith Greater Heights, and I have ordered that. I can't wait to get that one. And that actually comes out Tuesday, November 2nd, so I'm looking forward to reading that. I highly recommend checking this out. So it is August 22nd, and I have completed one more book. I finished Check Please, Book 1, #Hockey by Ngozi Ukazu, and this is a graphic novel. It's so stinking cute. So we have Biddy, who is gay. He is a freshman at his dream college. He's gotten there on a hockey scholarship, though he's always been a competitive figure skater, and he loves to bake. And then he joins this team full of these just bros, you know. And he's also really scared of getting checked because he's afraid he's gonna get hurt. And he pretty much curls up into a ball on the ice every time he thinks he's gonna get checked or gets even a little bit touched, or he faints. And not to mention, the captain of the team is super cute Jack, who seems to have it out for him. And this was just absolutely freaking adorable. It follows Biddy's, or his last name is Biddle, and his hockey nickname, because that's apparently a big culture thing with hockey, is the nicknames. His nickname's Biddy. And this follows his first 2 years of school. Okay, so right off the bat, in his freshman year, let me show you. So here is Biddy in his freshman year. He also has something like a YouTube channel. He has a video blog that he does. Oh, also, there's Biddy figure skating. And so throughout it, he's talking to his blog. And then right off the bat, I thought he looked like Vault Boy from the Fallout video game. And then when it got to his sophomore year and he got a haircut, I thought he looked even more like Vault Boy. Also, there is a guy in here who is this guy right here. His nickname is Shitty. And if you've read Giant Days, Shitty very much, to me, is McGraw in here. I absolutely freaking love this. I gave it 5 stars. I've ordered the second one. I love it. So it is Tuesday, August 24th, and I have completed 3 more books. Why I did this is because one of them was actually a DNF. But let's start with the ones that I did actually read. So on Sunday the 22nd, I completed The Lost Hero. This is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus, and it follows a new set of characters as well as an old set of characters. So this follows Jason, Piper, and Leo. And Jason seems to kind of appear out of nowhere with no memory of himself or anything. And Piper and Leo are his 2 best friends, and they feel like they've known him for a long time, and Piper's like his girlfriend, and they all have memories of him, but he doesn't remember them. And they soon discover that they are all demigods, though Jason's a little bit different than them. And throughout this, we learn why he's different. Also, we do have the Percy Jackson crew up in here, except for Percy Jackson because he is missing. And we don't find out what happened to Percy or where Percy is until the very, very end of the book. Annabeth is desperately looking for him. This was a lot of fun, and I give it 4 stars. Then yesterday I completed We by Yevgeny Zabyatyn, and this is a very quick read. It's sort of a dystopian Big Brother where everybody is controlled and they're all on like a very strict schedule. Everybody wakes up at the same time. Everybody eats at the same time, like literally bringing their spoon to their mouth at the same time. Every minute of every single day is regimented except for 2 hours a day where they get personal time. During this 2 hours, it's the only times they're allowed to like close their blinds so that they can have sex time. Other than that, everything is glass. Like you can see your neighbors, you see everybody sit up out of bed at the same time, all of that. This was the book that inspired George Orwell's 1984. I think if you're a fan of like, I've never read 1984, but I have read The Giver and more modern day, the Divergent series. If you're a fan of those, you might like this. I did quite enjoy it. You have our main character. This is told in like journal entries. Our main character, he starts experiencing things that he wouldn't normally experience once this woman gets involved, and there's this whole revolution and all of that. This was a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna give this a 3.75. And then the book that I DNF'd, I'm not rating this at all, because normally if I were going to give something a low rating because I DNF'd it, I've read an okay chunk. This one, I read about 2 paragraphs and realized very quickly that this is not a book for me, and I didn't want to waste any time. I don't really care for historical romance. I can get into a lot of historical books, like historical fiction, like World War II stuff, or even just like Stalking Jack the Ripper, or The Infernal Devices, or The Diviners, things like that I can get into. But I think a lot of it has to do with how it's written and the wording and things like that. And right off the bat, I knew that this was not something for me. The Stranger I Married by Sylvia Day, and this is set in London, 1815, and I only read to like right here and was like, nope. I'll read you this little clip. Do you truly intend to steal your best friend's mistress? Gerard Faulkner, the 6th Marquis of Grayson, kept his eyes on the woman in question and smiled. Those who knew him well also knew that look and its wicked portent. I certainly do. Dastardly, Bartley muttered. Too low even for you, Gray. Is it not sufficient to cockhold Sinclair? You know how Markham feels about Pell. He lost his head over her. And I just was like, no, I can't handle it. Can't handle it, no. So I have completed these 3. So it is Thursday, August 26th, and I have completed 4 more books. Yeah. Yeah. So on Tuesday the 24th, I finished Itsy Bitsy Spider by Kimberly Sherson. And I have to say, I went into this with kind of low expectations. Halfway expected to end up DNFing it. This is a book that I got from my local used bookstore called McKay's for 75 cents. And it looked like it had been like $1.50 before that and got marked down. So I wasn't expecting a whole lot from it. But I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm going to give this 4 stars. I might have even considered 4.5 stars, but there are a lot of like grammar issues. Well, maybe not so much grammar, but like the wrong words put in or words missed in like a sentence, and you could tell like I'm one to catch a lot of those, but it didn't really interfere too much with my reading. Like it didn't make things confusing. Like for the most part, I think my brain just kind of auto-filled in what was supposed to be there or the right word or whatever, but I was catching the mistakes. But the story is really, really good, and those mistakes didn't, like I said, didn't really interfere with the story. This is about a woman named Claire who is the stepdaughter of the Boston mayor, and this news reporter or newspaper reporter named Matt, who has received a call from Claire and wants to do some like digging into this because Claire has had a husband die in action and a boyfriend that's gone missing, and something seems a little off. And as Matt gets to know Claire, he realizes that Claire's not the one responsible for that, and that it is the mayor, and the mayor is a dirtbag and has pretty much controlled Claire her entire life. And I do want to say there are trigger warnings in here for child molestation. And Claire wants out from under the mayor's thumb and wants to expose him for the creep that he is. And this was, like I said, it was really, really good. Most of the chapters ended in like a cliffhanger that made you want to like immediately read the next chapter. And for the past, like the last maybe third of this, I was just like, oh, I gotta read it, I gotta read it. And so, yeah, I finished this in like a day and a half, something like that. But yeah, I give this 4 stars, really good. And then yesterday, I spent the entire day reading, and I completed so much. So only one of these books was, I had already started prior to yesterday, but I finished it yesterday. So I finished Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the 4th book, I believe, or the 5th book. I think it's the 5th book, I'm not sure, in the Lunar Chronicles. And this is so good. This is like the technically this is the end of the series, but there is like one more novella that follows it. But this is sort of a Snow White retelling in a way. All of the other stories in the Lunar Chronicles are a little bit of a different kind of retelling, but all the characters from those stories continue on into this. And we have Princess Winter, who's a little bit mad because she doesn't use her ability to like glamour or control people. So she kind of has gone a bit crazy. And Queen Lavanna, she wants Winter as well as Cinder completely out of the picture so that nobody can interfere with her being queen. Cinder is the rightful queen, but the people also really love Winter, and nobody really likes Levana. She's just awful. But she has the ability to control a lot of people, and I freaking love this whole series. I think I gave every book in this series 5 stars except for Fairest. That was my least favorite. I think I gave that one 4 stars. But I'm going to also give this one 5 stars as well. And then when I finished that, I listened to the audiobook of On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. A lot of people told me that the audiobook was definitely the way to go with this. And I agree, it was great. Listening to the raps in the audiobook, I think it was just better than physically reading it in that case. I really enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars. This follows a girl named Bree who, well, she wants to be a rapper, and her dad was kind of a famous underground rapper, and her family is struggling. Her brother's gone to college, but now he's stuck working in a pizza joint trying to help his mother make ends meet, and they're just struggling. And Bree, she wants to make it into this rap business and get some big money deal so that she can take care of her family. And it was really good, and I give it 4 stars. It's also super reflective, so I was trying to find it where it wouldn't blind the camera. And then when I finished that, I stayed up pretty late so that I could finish another book as well. And I finished Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. This is kind of sort of the sequel to Love and Gelato, but not exactly, because it doesn't really follow the characters from Love and Gelato. Love and Gelato is about a girl named Lena who went to spend the summer in Tuscany getting to know her father after her mother passed away from cancer. So now this is her friend Addie, who her and her brother are visiting Ireland, and Addie is planning on going to visit Lena over in Italy while their family is doing some kind of tour in Ireland. And well, Addie and her brother, they've always been super close, but now all of a sudden they're fighting like crazy and can't get along at all. And their parents kind of give them this ultimatum to handle it while they're in Italy. And well, her brother Ian, he has other plans and intends on ditching Addie, letting her go off to Italy without him while he tours Ireland with a friend he met online. And Addie catches them just in the nick of time and finds herself on this trip with them. And they are also using this this guidebook. What is it called? Ireland for the Heartbroken, an unconventional guide to the Emerald Isle, and using that to like help her get over a broken heart. And it's super cute. I love a traveling book. I love a bookish book, and this had both of those elements in it. This was so much fun, and I'm going to give this 4 stars as well. So it is Wednesday, September 1st, and I have completed 5 more books. So on the 29th, I completed Sanctuary by Carolyn Licks, and I think I'm gonna give this like 3.5. I enjoyed it okay. It was definitely not something I would normally gravitate to. This was a sci-fi. Sanctuary is this prison set in space that houses teenage criminals that have super powers, like super abilities, and they are invaded by some alien monster creature, and also these teens that are imprisoned there, they're also planning an escape during this time. And our main character, she is a guard. Her parents work on this station, and she's kind of a guard in training or whatever alongside them, and she's dealing with learning her place and dealing with her parents' marriage is kind of falling apart, and they've decided to take a break or whatever, and her dad has decided to go back to Earth, and he's just left. And it's her and her mom, as well as a few other people. That there's not a lot of workers on this station because it is a prison, and a lot of it's very automated. So it's just a few of them with all the prisoners, and then they're invaded by these alien monster beings. And this is also the first in a series, and I didn't realize that going in either. This is not a series I will continue because I'm just not interested enough. But yeah, I give this 3.5. So if I didn't say already, I finished that one on Sunday the 29th. And then yesterday on the 31st, I actually completed the other 4 books. So the first one I finished was The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. This is the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series. I was actually supposed to finish this on Sunday, but I didn't. It was a buddy read, and I found I struggled with it a little bit because there are so many characters. In my head, once it's past like 4 or 5 like characters that you're following, I get confused. And this has like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 characters, something like that, that you're following in 2 different groups. And so it was taking a little while for my brain to kind of wrap around going back and forth between these 2 groups. But I think they're all about to be combined into one group in the next book, and maybe that'll be easier. Maybe it'll be even more complicated. I don't know. I did enjoy this. There's a really cool setting in Alaska where there's these like giants and stuff there, and the way he describes the scenery, it just sounds so pretty. And I've never been to Alaska, but this makes me want to go to Alaska. In this one, we do find out like what happened with Percy, and he's in this one. So in the first one, we didn't know what was going on with Percy. He was missing, and that was the lost hero. And in this one, we have Percy, and he was kind of in the same boat as Jason, not knowing what was going on, and his memory starts coming back throughout this. I enjoyed this. I give it 4 stars. Next, this is something that I was really excited to read, and right from the beginning I realized that this was part of the new reboot, and I'm not really a fan of the reboot of the Buffy series, but I did read Willow. I thought, you know, okay, it is part of the reboot, but this seems like it's later, and so maybe this one's fine, but it's not. Like, Willow's still in high school in this, and yeah, it's the whole storyline is just so incredibly different. I'm not a fan. I didn't hate this one. Like, I really disliked the first Buffy in the reboot, and I think I gave that, I don't know, 2 stars. I'll give this 3 stars because I did go into it knowing how incredibly different it was going to be once I first started. The story was okay, but to me this is not our Buffy world, and I'm just gonna give this 3 stars. Oh, but I will say that it follows, like, if you're following the rebooted series, this comes after the 2nd volume, and Willow has apparently gone to study abroad, and she's now come back. Like, things didn't work out with her studying abroad. She's come back, and when she got back to Sunnydale, she was not okay with how things were there because of something that happened in volume 2, which is very much not anything that happened at all in the real Buffy world. But, and I can't say because it would be a spoiler, but she wasn't okay being in Sunnydale, so she hops a bus and she finds her way to this, I forget what it's called, the place called Abhane or something like that. Yeah, Abhane. And it just happens to be this town that's kind of shielded or guarded or whatever, and only the people who belong there are able to go to it. And it turns out it's nothing but a bunch of witches living here. But then it turns out that they're kind of like, once you're here and we're not letting you go. And Willow's like, no. So you know, as far as the story goes, it was okay, but yeah. Then I read about a quarter of the Sandman Overture by Neil Gaiman. I got to, there's no page numbers, but I got to right here and decided this is very much not for me. This is far too weird. I don't even know how to explain what is going on in this because it's just so bizarro. And I'm gonna give this 1 star. I didn't like it at all, and I've determined that Neil Gaiman is not for me. And then I read Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is a short little graphic novel. It's about a werewolf and a vampire falling in love, and it was freaking fantastic. I read the entire 100 pages in 12 minutes. I was laughing the entire time. I loved it so much. I give it 5 stars. I highly recommend it. As I said, it's a super quick read, but it is so much fun. And yeah, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. So here are the 20 books. Yes, 20 books that I read in August. Have you guys read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!